million people will be traveling. That's within a 5% range of pre-pandemic numbers. In fact, AAA's forecast shows that an 80% increase in air travel from last year to this year. Some travelers say that they're getting here extra early to avoid any kind of hiccup that could happen with all these people traveling this year. They're hoping that things will run smoothly, given that so many people haven't traveled in quite a while.
Hopefully not too tense. Yeah, I'm hoping that everyone's just relaxed and but you know, just judging based on how everyone hasn't been traveling, I would think that people are going to be a little hyped up, but we'll see.
AAA recommends people that are flying domestic leave about 2 hours before their departure time at the airport and 3 hours if you're traveling internationally. Reporting live here in San Diego International Airport, Ryan Hill, ABC 10 News.
Ryan, thank you. That's the flying. What about the driving? Thanksgiving is a major driving holiday for a lot of people. They are hitting the road tonight as well. Our CHP officer, Jim Betancourt, joins us a little early tonight to show us what it looks like out there. Hello, Jim.
And hello to you and everybody watching this evening. It is a busy travel day, especially around the North County at this hour. This is the southbound side of the 5 through Oceanside. And it's going to be pretty slow, pretty much once you pass Basilone Road through Camp Pendleton, all the way down to the 78 at this point. You can see quite a bit of traffic. A lot of people coming into San Diego for this holiday. That northbound side of the 5, you're going to see much of the same. We do have reports of a crash right around Palomar Airport Road, so watch out for that. That's going to be slow from Solana Beach all the way to there. The northbound side of the 15, busy through Rancho Bernardo, but also once you pass that 76, you're going to be on the brake lights. It's pretty much a parking lot out there until you reach the 79 in Temecula. I'm Officer Jim Betancourt with your 10 News Time Saver Traffic.
Jim, thank you. High gas prices, they're also on the minds of drivers this week. After a 15th day of increases, the average price in the county is now $4.66 a gallon. That's over a nickel shy of the record here in San Diego. There may be some help on the horizon, though. In hopes of driving down those prices, President Biden released millions of barrels from national reserves just yesterday. Patrick DeHaan with Gas Buddy told ABC 10 News, in addition to Biden's action, refinery improvements could significantly reduce prices in the coming weeks.
Those are the issues that push prices up, but now there's been some improvements at refineries across Southern California. So I would expect that potentially over the next 2 to 3 weeks, gas prices in San Diego could drop 20 to as much as 35 cents a gallon.
DeHaan says we could start seeing gas prices go down as soon as this week.
Now to the latest on coronavirus. As families gather for Thanksgiving, you might hear bits of vaccine misinformation at the dinner table, like the false claim that vaccines don't prevent COVID infections or transmission. ABC 10 News anchor Derek Stahl is going in depth on the science. You need to respond.
There's overwhelming evidence that vaccines keep people out of the hospital, but what about this?
We know, and the data is very clear at this point, COVID vaccines are not preventing infection. Okay, it's just not.
This claim stems in part from an October study in the journal The Lancet. The authors looked at COVID transmission in households. They found that when a vaccinated person came home with a breakthrough infection, they transmitted the virus to the same number of household members as an unvaccinated person with an infection. One reviewer wrote, the study highlights that the vaccine effect on reducing transmission is minimal. So I asked 2 infectious disease experts, just how accurate is that?
It's a totally different thing to say that the vaccines do not prevent transmission. It's just complete distortion of the facts.
The reality is, if you are vaccinated, you are much less likely to get COVID and then to spread COVID.
And so what's happening here is people cherry picking little tiny pieces of information without going deeper.
To go deeper, Dr. Christian Ramers of Family Health Centers of San Diego says you have to understand the term viral load. It's a measurement of the viral particles in a person's blood. Vaccine critics argue these tests show vaccinated people with a breakthrough are just as infectious as the unvaccinated because their viral loads peak at roughly the same level. But there's an important limitation with the way a viral load test works. Dr. Raymer says it can sense the virus's code, or RNA.
But it doesn't give any context of what else is going on around that RNA. And having antibodies there might mean, yes, you found the RNA. Yes, you found the evidence that the virus is there. but it's surrounded by antibodies and not infectious at all.
A study from the University of Illinois found vaccinated people with a breakthrough emit weaker viral particles thanks to damage from those protective antibodies. They also emit fewer of them and for less time.
The data that we've seen suggests that that vaccinated people can indeed transmit this virus. However, they transmit it for a much shorter period of time.
UCLA epidemiologist Dr. Anne Ramoyne says that shows breakthrough cases are less infectious to others overall, and a study from the Netherlands backs that up. But there's another important component to transmission.
Vaccinated people were less likely to be infected in the first place. And the people making this talking point just forget to mention that, I guess.
Even with months of waning immunity, studies repeatedly show vaccines prevent more than 50% of infections with or without symptoms. And if a vaccinated person doesn't get infected, they can't transmit the virus to anyone. So doctors say while it's true these vaccines won't prevent all transmission, there's plenty of evidence they prevent a lot. Derek Stahl, ABC 10 News.
All great advice. Good news on the job front, too. Unemployment claims have reached their lowest levels in decades. The Labor Department reports that there were 199,000 new unemployment applications last week. That is the lowest number of applications we have seen since 1969. This most recent report beat economists' expectations as well. They estimated there would be about 260,000 new applications.
A Chula Vista nonprofit is parting ways with the city over the way stimulus money was spent.
It doesn't seem that the city wants to partner with us, so we're going to go ahead and close that door softly.
Coming up, the arguments being made from both sides. And we'll introduce you to the mother-daughter team behind Cafe X, how the space is designed to help people in the Black community develop skills.
And as we prepare for Thanksgiving, prepare for the winds. I'll show you when they will peak and which communities will see the strongest wind gusts.
Now to the story of a local coffee shop cooperative trying to help build generational wealth in the Black community and other marginalized communities. As part of our series Stories for Change, we're introducing you to the mother-daughter team who started Cafe X. Enjoy. Kia Pollard and Cynthia Johnny are co-founders and co-owners of Cafe X by any means necessary. They're also mother and daughter. The idea for the cafe came from a community action project back in 2016 to address issues in urban and marginalized communities.
For me, it was about the Black community as a Black woman and a young Black woman, very young then, about creating a space for generational wealth building for our community.
Since its creation, the cafe has grown and is now at its new location in downtown San Diego. And true to Pollard's goal, Cafe X is actually a cooperative.
My vision long-term is really for community to operate it and own it.
There you go.
Well, you can get coffee and food here. The real idea is for people to use the space to meet and collaborate, developing themselves and others.
But how do we really connect people to other people?
And in case it wasn't obvious, that name is indeed inspired by Malcolm X, a minister, human rights activist, and vocal advocate for Black empowerment.
I am a fan of Malcolm X, and the idea is really about that agency and that self-determination for people to be able to live and create and to dream.
The women also provide internships for local young people through a partnership with Access Inc., a nonprofit, to help them cultivate a wide range of skills.
We wanted to develop leaders that didn't exist already, and really build a leadership pipeline.
Cafe X is located at 1835 Imperial Avenue in downtown San Diego. They are open right now, but will be holding their official grand opening in January.
The Mountain High Resort is working towards a snowy Thanksgiving weekend. Overnight temperatures have been cold enough in Wrightwood. The resort says it's now making snow, as you can see. A spokesperson says they've invested more than $300,000 in snowmaking equipment this summer. They hope to have the opening of snow play over this Thanksgiving weekend with skiing and snowboarding coming up next week.
This 10 News Pinpoint Weather Report is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air. Nobody wows clients like we do.
Cold there in Wrightwood. We got some warm weather and some Santa Ana conditions headed our way, though.
Yeah, no snow here at all. Instead, like you mentioned, we are going to be dealing with that fire weather. Right now, let's go ahead and take a look outside. Downtown, it is nice and clear, 62 degrees currently, visibility not an issue. Now here along the coast, we have some light winds coming out of the northwest at 6 miles per hour. Not the case, though, in other parts of the county. I'll get to that here in just a moment. As we take a look at our current temperatures across the county, we're seeing lots of 60s in our most populated areas. Our daytime highs over the next couple of days will be above average. 50s, cooler in our mountains, low 50s there in Julian, upper 50s in Warner Springs, the South Bay, National City, and Chula Vista. You're in the low 60s. So our weather headlines, Santa Ana's, that's what we've been talking about. They are going to peak overnight. We are going to stay warm and dry into next week, and we are going to be dealing with that critical fire danger over the next couple of days. Our current wind gusts here throughout the county. So you can see not quite as strong just yet, but they are already coming out of the east, especially in our mountain communities. We're not seeing the winds along the coast or inland at this point. The Santa Ana conditions, though, they are on the way. As far as our weather headlines with that red flag warning lasting through Friday. We're already seeing some pretty strong wind gusts to the north of us in the Inland Empire between 50 to 60 miles per hour. Here at home, we're going to see those Santa Anas anywhere between 40 to 65 miles per hour. And on top of that, of course, that fire danger. The relative humidity is going to be pretty low, could be dropping down into single digits. Our wind futurecast. So by later on tonight, we see where some of the stronger wind gusts are. Poway could be gusting near 40 miles per hour and then even stronger while many of us are sleeping. By tomorrow morning, we're going to see those wind gusts remain strong. Along the coast is where it's not going to be as windy, but definitely in our inland valleys and our mountains, that's where we're going to be dealing with that red flag warning. So I know a lot of people have plans for the Thanksgiving holiday. Let's just all try to use extra caution as we're going to be traveling out and about over the next couple of days. So here is that fire weather warning, that red flag warning lasting through Friday at 6 o'clock. For tonight, hour by hour here along the coast, we're going to drop down into the 50s. It's going to be mostly clear. Inland valleys, we're going to see that same dip into the low 50s, and then we'll be in the low 50s as well, while many of you are waking up, maybe already preparing that turkey for tomorrow. Your 7-day forecast, so warm over the next couple of days. Even though we drop our temperatures a few degrees by Saturday into Sunday, we are still going to be above average. In our inland spots, by Thursday into Friday, we'll be in the upper 70s to low 80s. We're going to stay in the 80s for your weekend. Maybe if you're going to be out and about shopping, yeah, it's going to be a warm one here. The mountains will be cooler, though. We are going to be in the mid 50s for tomorrow and then upper 50s by Friday. You can see by Saturday into Sunday, we will be in the 60s. Mostly sunny skies here over the next several days. In our desert communities for Thanksgiving, we will be in the upper 70s and then low 80s by Friday. But of course, Steve and Lindsay, the big thing that we're talking about, of course, the winds. So yes, just be extra careful as you prepare for Thanksgiving.
We all shall be. Thanks, Mel. Let's get a check on that traffic. Got to be careful on the roads, too. Here's Officer Jim Betancourt once again. Hello, Jim.
Oh, that's right. Be careful out there. Make sure you slow down and get to your celebration in a safe manner this weekend. Right now, for those of you that are going to be traveling on the 805 South, it's just going to be just a little bit busy over the 8, but for the most part, it's looking pretty good at this hour. We do have reports of a new crash on the eastbound side of the 94 right around Bancroft. It looks like we may have a car versus a pedestrian out there, so expect some long delays on the 94 for those of you traveling that way. The 5 in and out of downtown is looking pretty good, but northbound 5 is going to be busy from Solana Beach all the way to Carlsbad. I'm Officer Jim Betancourt with your 10 News Time Saver Traffic.
We here at ABC 10 News want to thank you for helping make our Month of a Million Meals campaign so successful. In just over a week, we've raised enough money for more than 1 million meals for San Diegans facing hunger. You can still help by donating. Go to 10news.com and click on Month of a Million Meals. San Diegans now have the opportunity to spread a little holiday cheer this season through the Toys for Tots program. Today, San Diego Fire and Rescue kicked off its annual push for donations. People can donate toys to boxes set up at fire stations and some lifeguard stations all over the city.
It makes me feel great, because sometimes people, just need a little hand, and to be able to provide that hand to them and help them out in whatever way we can, whether that be responding on a 911 call, or also giving them toys for the holiday season. I mean, whatever it takes, that's what we're going to do here in the city of San Diego.
If you're interested in giving this season, you'll need to drop off your toy by December 17th. If you'd like to give money instead, that information can be found on 10news.com under the Resource Center.
We are already seeing a bigger and earlier Black Friday shopping frenzy. Coming up, the 3 reasons people are starting to shop early this year.
Skycam Views, sponsored by Carlsbad Solar.
The post-Thanksgiving holiday shopping spree is already underway, with more people starting their shopping early this year. And the National Retail Federation is predicting a record-breaking holiday shopping season as well. Jen Sullivan has a closer look in today's Consumer Watch.
A bigger and earlier Black Friday shopping frenzy. According to the National Retail Federation, nearly 2 million more people than last year will shop from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday.
We almost think of Thanksgiving now as the halfway point rather than the kickoff.
A survey from the NRF finds many shoppers started holiday shopping early, citing concerns about supply chain issues, inventory, and high demand.
Almost half of shoppers started browsing and buying before November this year. For reference, that's up from 42% last year.
And shoppers are expected to spend a record amount. The NRF says consumers may spend an average of about $1,000 this holiday season. One of the largest online retailers, Amazon, is also expecting big numbers.
Black Friday and Cyber Monday have always been big days for Amazon, so we think this year is going to be even bigger.
Experts say higher consumer confidence means more people will be likely hitting the stores in person. On Black Friday, the NRF survey found 64% are likely to shop in stores. That's up from 51% last year when COVID-19 worries kept many people at home.
People like going to stores when they're buying gifts. They like to touch and feel product, see it.
And for many people hitting the mall this weekend, experts say the day after Thanksgiving could be more like Bleak Friday. With some products hard to find and prices rising. The best tip, if you see what you want,
buy it now. Buy it. Definitely, buy it now.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
A Chula Vista nonprofit is parting ways with the city over the way stimulus money was spent.
It doesn't seem that the city wants to partner with us, so we're going to go ahead and close that door softly.
Coming up, the arguments being made from both sides. And Coronado High School won't get back its regional basketball championship title after a controversial tortilla throwing incident. The other decisions handed down by the CIF. And now let's pay tribute to one of our hometown heroes. This is San Diego native Israel Ramirez. He's seen here communicating on a sound-powered phone aboard the USS Tripoli. That amphibious assault ship is also home-ported here in San Diego. Israel, we thank you for your service.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
After a controversial tortilla throwing incident, Coronado High School will not be getting its regional basketball championship title back.
That decision comes after a CIF appeals board looked into the earlier ruling to strip the title. Our ABC 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala joins us live in Escondido at Orange Glen High School with mixed reactions on this decision tonight. Mimi.
Yeah, so players and their parents here at Orange Glen High School say that incident was racist and disrespectful, but others say stripping Coronado High of their championship title just went too far.
That's said and done. I just want the punishment to be as stiff as possible so that other schools don't think that their kids can get away with this kind of behavior as well.
Orange Glen parent Mickey Chu is talking about this controversial incident over the summer. Coronado High students seen throwing tortillas at Orange Glen basketball players after Coronado won the regional basketball championship game.
For anyone to deny that that was a racist act when it was tortillas thrown at a predominantly Latino team, it's absolutely ridiculous.
After an investigation, the CIF stripped Coronado High of its championship title and also issued strict sanctions on all Coronado High athletic programs, putting them on probation. Decisions that captured the attention of Coronado Mayor Richard Bailey.
So I think this really emphasizes the lesson that
you can be punished for the actions of others. And that is just fundamentally unfair. And I think it's something that we should all speak out against.
Coronado Unified appealed the decision, but this week a CIF appeals panel issued a ruling. The probation now applies to the boys basketball team only, but their championship title won't be reinstated.
Essentially, you're punishing the players that were uninvolved in the incident, completely uninvolved in the incident.
Chu and other Orange Glen parents say the conduct was unsportsmanlike, disrespectful, and should be a lesson to all students and schools.
Sportsmanship is something that CIF says it values greatly. Our whole goal in getting the word out was simply to hold Coronado accountable so that this wouldn't happen again to other kids.
And Coronado district officials say that they will be discussing what they should do next with legal counsel. As for Escondido district officials, we did not hear back today, likely because of that Thanksgiving holiday break. We're live in Escondido tonight. Mimi Alcala, ABC 10 News.
Amy, thank you. The investigation continues into the death of an inmate being held at the Vista Detention Facility. According to the Sheriff's Department, the 63-year-old man was being treated for an unspecified medical condition. The unidentified inmate was taken to the hospital on November 6th. He died yesterday after his condition worsened. The county medical examiner is trying to locate the man's family, and an autopsy is upcoming. A man in Illinois is being extradited for a deadly shooting in Chula Vista. On November 13th, officers found a man who had been fatally shot and a wounded teenager outside a bar. Detectives identified the suspect as San Diego resident Tracy Reasonover. Investigators found out he fled to the Chicago area. Working with the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, detectives were able to arrest Reasonover for violating his parole conditions. Police say he will be booked for homicide when he returns to San Diego.
A nonprofit on a mission to feed the hungry is accusing the city of Chula Vista of using its name to pocket tens of thousands of dollars in coronavirus stimulus funds. Our ABC 10 News reporter John Horn explains why the city took that step.
At the height of the coronavirus pandemic, Chula Vista nonprofit Community Through Hope was nothing short of overwhelmed.
The lines would be anywhere between sometimes 600 to 1,000 cars.
Chief Executive Officer Rosie Vasquez says drivers waited to get 60 to 75 pounds of essentials loaded into the backs of their cars.
It was fruits, vegetables, proteins, and grains.
Since 2018, the city of Chula Vista has paid the nonprofit $30,000 annually for certain services, a deal that ended this year. Still, when Vasquez saw the city list her nonprofit as a recipient for an additional $30,000 in CARES Act funds, she got excited.
We think we're going to get 60, which is wonderful because, COVID-19 for a nonprofit, regardless, I think, of what your services were, was just a huge blow.
It turns out the city was allocating those $30,000 in the nonprofit's name to offset the cost of police traffic control during the food pantry pickups. In all, the city says it spent $135,000 on traffic control, which the stimulus funds will also reimburse.
To think that we couldn't have benefited, that our clients couldn't have benefited from those dollars is a travesty.
Vasquez says there's been no discussion of a bill coming her way, but Community Through Hope's deal with the city won't be renewed. John Horn, ABC 10 News.
The city says it will not ask for reimbursement. In a memo, it says it will continue to work with Community Through Hope and other nonprofits to collaborate and provide services such as vaccines and support for food distribution services when possible.
Top honors today for an advocate who's been at the center of social justice issues across San Diego County. Yusef Miller has been a big part of promoting police reform. One example includes working with the Carlsbad Police Department on their new de-escalation policy that took effect last month. But Miller's work goes beyond police reform.
We've seen anti-Asian hate, we've seen anti-Black hate, anti-Latinx hate, we've seen the Haitian refugee issue, we've seen Middle Eastern issues with immigration, and these things are prevalent, and they're not new, they're always going on, but we try to make sure that fighting this anti-hate, anti-xenophobia is at the forefront.
On top of that, Miller is also known for his work to address in-custody deaths, human trafficking, and religious freedom in our